What are some red flags that we're doing in parenting?
Well, I had a mom that didn't know she was supposed to call her child by his name. Like, I wake up, I wash him, I feed him, and then he just sits. Like, well, do you talk to him? No. Do you play with him? No. I'm like, well, how did you think he was supposed to learn? He was 3 at that time.
Never called by his name?
She didn't know. I mean, she just thought he would know his name, but how is he supposed to know if you don't teach him his name, right?
Do you think that's common?
Out of all the families I had, maybe like 2 or 3 did not do that. Unfortunately, parents think that, they can have substitutes, and that substitute is technology. We can't do that with our children. You brought him to this world, and technically he's not yours. He's Allah's, and you're not taking care of Allah's gift.
Divorce rates are 50%. How does it differ walking into a house of a single mother telling her about how to deal with her child if she has no support?
I can't make up stuff for her. I can't give her a life that's not there. You have to be very realistic when you work with the family.
My parents did that with us and we were fine.
And look at me. I'm fine. I'm a successful man. I'm providing for my family. Yes, but you're very aggressive. Do you ever hug your son? Do you ever have a discussion with your son? No, you don't know. It's a need. When I work with parents, I put a self-care plan for the mom. I know that you need time to go to the bathroom and cry. You can't look at yourself in the mirror. I understand that. I give them 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
That breaks my heart. Leading up to marriage, the girl always takes care of herself and then
It's gone. Yeah, it's sad, but
Fatimah is an author, a mom, and a parent educator, and she has come on to reveal the state of parenting today. She reveals major issues we face during parenting and what ways we can go about fixing them. I'll keep that information for Fatimah to reveal. I'm trying my best to make this the best couple hours you spend all week, every week. To do that, I need a little bit of help from you. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't yet, and like this episode if you enjoy what you hear. With that being said, let's get the show started.
Welcome aboard Middle East Airlines.
والمتوجهة إلى
طيران الشرق الأوسط يرحب
مدينة القدس العربية.
Assalamu alaikum. Fatimah, welcome to Not From Here.
thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. Fatimah, the way I start this off usually is self-introduction on your part. Self-introduction as in the way of self-reflection. So when you look in the mirror, who is Fatimah to Fatimah?
That's a beautiful question. I'm a mom, first of all. Like, when I look at myself, the first thing that pops in my head is Ali and Tia, my kids. After that, I am a wife. I'm a daughter. So, like, all these things pop in my head. Like, I represent this person, this person. But to be honest, like, after all of those things, when I look at myself, I see Imam Mahdi. So I always say to myself, I have to represent Imam Mahdi in everything, even in my work. I try on a personal life and my relationships with everyone around me to represent Imam Mahdi. Sometimes that's hard because we lose our temper, or
It's a work in
we
progress.
show our real skin. But I try, and this is like always what I tell myself when I represent Imam Mahdi in everything I do. So this is who I see, and it's how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's a huge responsibility, but I always remind myself every single morning. I know, Fatimah, whatever I do, when I go to work, because my work is a lot, I work with people all the time.
What's your work?
Parent educator.
Okay.
Yeah, so وهلا الحمد لله I embarked on a new journey in my life, so I'm starting a new job inshallah. So it's still كمان I work with children and parents, so that's like the best thing ever. And when I'm around families, that is like the climax of my day. Like, I'm literally like serving Imam Mahdi the best way, right? So yeah, when I look at the mirror, I say to myself, you are a follower of Imam Mahdi, represent him properly. So
It's like you said, it's harder because you're dealing with people, so there's a higher chance of public failure, of that identity that you see yourself in. So, but it's a work in progress, and inshallah, people are forgiving. You know what I mean?
yeah.
How did you end up here? So it's called Not From Here because me and you aren't from here.
Right.
And how did Fatimah Bazzi get to America?
I was born here. So
Okay.
I was born in Michigan, Dearborn. My parents moved back to Lebanon when I was around 10 years old. Came back after I was married. But like we maintained sort of a different lifestyle when we were living in Lebanon, because my parents tried to protect us as much as they can. So
Here or there?
there.
Okay.
So we weren't really involved in a lot of things going on around us. So we were like in an American school. My parents picked who we socialized with. So home was like our hub. There were 5 kids. We were each other's best friends. Our parents were our best friends. It was just like a lot of home time. We would go out, obviously, we would socialize, but not as, expected.
Okay.
So that's why, like, a lot of, like, we kept our accent, a lot of things that we used to do here, or our parents used to do here, we maintained it over there as well. So when we came back, it wasn't like a cultural shock that much for us.
Yeah.
Right. So
how old were you when you came back?
I was a mom. I was 29, I think.
So
28.
19 years in Lebanon.
Yeah. No, and then I got married. I went to Saudi Arabia with my husband, and then I came here.
So 19 years in the Middle East.
Yes.
Okay. And how does your experience there differ from, because essentially, I mean, you were born here, I would say raised in Lebanon, those very vital, very sensitive teenage years you lived in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that experience like?
It was the best experience ever. I thank my father all the time. When I interact with youth and teenagers, I always thank my parents. Alhamdulillah, you made the decision to move to Lebanon at that time, because it's different over there. The society and the expectations and the lifestyle, it's different. So you're not exposed to as much, and not like as a teenager, not much is expected of you, right? So like here, it's different. The perspective of being a teenager, freedom, and all that stuff. So it's different over there. So it was more controlled, and my parents came in. They played a very pivotal role in everything, because they included Ahl al-Bayt in everything in our lifestyle. So we were in an American school. There was, a very minimal amount of, Shia students around us, or, Shia lifestyle. But we were living in Dahiya, but it's still,
Yeah.
But they included Ahl al-Bayt in everything. And spirituality played a humongous role in our childhood. So there was always, that attachment to Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam, remembering Ahl al-Bayt, walking in their footsteps, talking about Ahl al-Bayt, life stories of Ahl al-Bayt. So it always, lingered around with us. Wherever we go, whatever environment we were put in, always the values of Ahl al-Bayt were with us. So it wasn't that hard for me. And I thank them so much, like, alhamdulillah, that you guys did that, because when I was a teenager, I wasn't, like, interested in anything else. Like, as a teenager, my most important thing was, trying to dress like Sayyidah Zahra, or being polite like Sayyidah Zahra. I didn't really think of, stuff that most teenagers would be interested in. Yeah.
Okay. In the moment, do you feel the contrast between your school life, like your life in school and at home? Because there's a contrast there.
Yeah.
In school, it's more open. American schools in Lebanon are pretty open.
Very.
Yeah. And then you have this conservative side where we're focusing on religion at home. I feel like people in that situation might either really like the openness of school, and it kind of detaches them even more from religion because that's all they're fed at home. Or some people, like in your case, you want to implement that in your day-to-day life. And I think that's credit goes to your parents, because that just means they did it in a way where you actually loved the information that was fed to you.
That's why I focused on the word spirituality. They didn't focus on the practice aspect.
That's what it is.
Like the aspect, like you're going to do it, you're going to do it. But they focused on the relationship between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, us and Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam, right? So it wasn't like, you're going to nod if you do this. Oh, this is haram, or this is aib. So they knew how to sort of like let us live that experience without living it. So nothing was a taboo in our house. So we were allowed to talk anything we wanted with our mom and dad. We were allowed to ask questions, even if they were questions that seemed controversial, right? We always would have debates and discussions. Our parents were very open with us. That's why I'm telling you, like, they made our home our hub. Like, we would talk stuff. We would, oppose their ideas sometimes, and it was okay. We're 5 kids and none of us look alike. We all have a different mentality, because our parents allowed us to experience that. Tell me what you're thinking. It's okay. Nothing is aib. Nothing is haram. What's haram is haram. We're not gonna discuss that. But it wasn't like, you gonna go to nar, or Allah doesn't love you. It was never like that, right? It was always like, be good humans. So my father is an academic. He's an engineering professor. So he works a lot with logic. Give me the logic behind this. What's the logic? And my mom was a kindergarten teacher before she got married. So, it's always about, discussing the mind. Yeah. So that's why, alhamdulillah, all 5 of us, we're alhamdulillah, we're practicing Muslims. We're very well disciplined, and above all, we're good humans. So that's how our parents protected us. They exposed us without exposing us.
I'm guessing they gave you the blueprint of how to do it with your own kids as well.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
What you're saying, I could relate to it, and it's scary if I just said the exact same words that you said, but replaced Jaafar with Fatima, I had the exact same experience in Lebanon, and I always give credit to my dad for approaching it in that way, and that there's nothing wrong. You can do whatever you want outside of the house, but you have to come tell me. You have to be a friend.
Right.
You know, Allah is always loving. There was no God's going to punish you in our household. It was always you can do whatever you want. You just have to come talk about it and open discussion.
So with us, it wasn't you can do whatever you want. It was whatever you do, Allah is watching.
Of course,
Yeah.
that part.
So it was, and even when my brothers were in that teenage year, we know they're going out with their friends and whatever, my mom would always remind my brothers, whatever you do, just remember Allah is watching. And that would always stop. That would always stop them. Like their friends would continue, and then they would be like, Allah, I can't.
Exactly the same way. You know, like you could do it, and I meant it more like that. You can do whatever you want outside of the house, but it really never got to that point because I see, my parents really trust me. So I have to hold that with responsibility.
Yeah.
Did you work in Lebanon?
I did. I was a teacher. I was a university professor. Not a professor, sorry, instructor, not professor. Yeah. I used to teach for community college. I used to teach first year business and English 101.
Okay. So you majored in business?
Yes, I have a master's in business administration. So I did my master's over there, and then I repeated it here again.
Really?
Yeah. Because it wasn't accredited, so I went to Lawrence Technological University, and I did my business, my master's degree.
How was it, the feeling of, I think being a school teacher is very different than being an instructor at a college, because now the responsibility is real, the people are older, you can have intellectual conversations with them. With your students in Lebanon, how was that experience like?
So because I was teaching, like older, older generation, so like teenagers or like young adults, it's easier to talk to them because they're already like their brain is somewhat completely developed, because our brain develops at age, it's completely developed at age 25, right? So they're mature, so I can give and take with them. I can, throw ideas out there and, see what their feedback is, what their response is. With younger kids, it's very critical because they're still absorbing, right? So I'm very cautious of the words I pick and how I present it to them, right? And so, yeah, it's different because with the older generation, I don't really have to be that cautious. Right, because they're understanding what I'm talking about. They're already fully developed. They got their character figured out, but I'm just maybe redirecting them. With the younger children, they're still developing, right? I am redirecting them, but they're still developing as well. So I'm very cautious with the words I use. Even when I do illustrations, I'm very cautious with the illustrator. How to present the character, what clothes is she wearing? What facial expressions does the character have? Like for example, my last book, My Awaited Imam, the character at first, he had a sort of like a sad face. So we asked her to change it because Imam Mahdi's hope.
Yeah.
I don't want the kid to read the book and feel like, he said, no, Bilakis, he should be happy, smiling, because Imam Mahdi's hope, even if we can't see him yet, but he's still, he's still hope for us. He still exists. Obviously, he's Imam, Qa'im ala imamati. So, it's... so I'm very cautious when it comes to how I, present my work or the words I choose, my body language, tone of voice, colors I use.
You're very into the details.
Yes.
How would you describe their mentality in college over there versus your typical college student here?
They're so over there, dreams and ambitions are very limited, right? Because there's a lot of barriers. Hone in the sky is the limit, and there's a lot of competition. And it's so hard to get help. So over there, when you want to ask for help from students or like your classmates, it's so easy to approach them, because what do they have to lose? Right? Hone know they have a lot to lose, because this is like, it's in their heads, the competition. I want to be the best. I want to get that scholarship. I want to get that internship. I want to get whatever, right? So it's shway harder Hone to approach people.
Okay.
From my experience, I don't know, maybe because I'm a bit shy. I was shyer,
but. Look, the way I see it is, it's not just the students, it's the people in general in Lebanon. I feel like they're very approachable in ways.
Very.
Yeah, like you can really ask them for things.
Yes.
And everyone is waiting to be helpful. Here, I'm pretty sure if you actually ask, the person will do it. but I just find it very difficult here to ask someone for a favor.
You can ask here, but they will help you, yes, but they make you feel as if it was like a burden on their shoulders. In the Middle East and Lebanon in particular, people, they want to, like, you can ask for guidance, you can ask for help, you can ask for support. They want to do it. They want to do it from a religious perspective and from a humanistic perspective. And social life over there is very open. It's very encouraging. You don't need an appointment to see your relatives or your friends.
Yeah.
You don't need an appointment to knock on your neighbor's door. I don't remember like ever, going to sleep and not knowing what my neighbor's name is, or we know if they went to sleep hungry. We know what's going on in our neighbors' lives, and we're there to support. Here we don't know that.
Yeah.
So like me and my husband, when we moved here, we would try to instigate any conversation, anything with our neighbors, just so hey, we're your new neighbors. We just moved from the Middle East. It was hard, but alhamdulillah, after 10, 15 years, they got used to us. So now they're pretty they would say hi first now, hi, how are you guys? So alhamdulillah, and it takes time, but we get there eventually.
I said this on my in the last episode, but I sat with her name is Dr. Christine Ajroush, and she's a researcher. She used to do research on the people in Lebanon. She used to go there and do research on them. And interesting that she told me that, and I had not thought about. She told me that in Lebanon, the relationships that you have is currency. Just like the way you have money here, a form of currency in Lebanon is, and I'm saying Lebanon specifically, not the Middle East, because that's what her research was specifically on. And it's because I think it's difficult to get along more in life, so they value their social connections more, because that's a way of them getting ahead. So that could also be a big part of it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Yes, that's true. Now that you said it, I'm reflecting on something.
Exactly.
And that's 100% true.
It starts clicking that does make sense.
Yeah.
Do you teach here?
No, I don't teach. I work with students and parents right now. I don't teach, no.
It's clear that you have the right mindset when it comes to teaching. What part of it did you not enjoy?
I enjoyed it all. I love teaching. I love teaching. I can sit in front of a group of people and lecture and talk for hours and hours and hours. But I found myself more when I sit with the whole family. Yeah, I discovered myself more once I became a parent educator. I found myself, wow, this is what Allah made me for.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. I love putting them together, and just the whole family dynamic is so beautiful to work with, especially when you handle it from an Islamic perspective, and bring the values of Ahlul Bayt into it. It's so beautiful.
And that's in the back of your head all the time.
All the time, yes. And not all my clients, obviously, they're from the same religious background. Some of them don't follow any religion, but I still treat them. I still give them the values. I don't have to name it, right?
Yes.
I don't label it, but I just give them the values, because everything I studied as a parent educator actually aligns with everything that Islam teaches, right? There's just no difference.
Do you think naming it makes it more unattractive to some people?
It depends on how you name it.
Yeah, if
right?
you
and
name
how you
it
say
religiously, because there's a lot of people that you would tell them, hey, Islam says this, that, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, she's talking about Islam again. That's all she can talk about. But then if you tell them the exact same things, you just remove the word Islam and just provide it to them as a way of life, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is the best thing that anyone's ever said.
Yeah. So when I approach people, I never say oh, Islam says this, or I might say, yes, Rasulullah teaches us 1, 2, 3, or oh, one day Imam Ali was walking and so happened. Yes, I'll throw the story out there, but I won't label it oh, Islam teaches this. Actions speak louder than words. Right. So obviously I'm a Muslim. I represent my faith. So how I treat people and how I present the knowledge I have speaks enough for my religion. I don't have to put Islam on it, and I think that's more effective. So just the way we treat people.
This episode is sponsored by Whoop. Whoop is a fitness wearable that is meant to be worn 24/7. That is what you need to reach health-related goals. You need monitoring around the clock, and Whoop makes it easy to do just that. From your steps to your calories to your workouts to your sleep cycle, it does it all. It was the push that I needed to start taking my health more seriously. And now, because you're a listener of this podcast, you can get Whoop for 10% off when you go to join.whoop.com/notfromhere. Don't miss out on this limited time opportunity. And now, back to the episode. What's a parent educator?
Is someone that helps parents, do their job better. So because like I'm not a perfect parent. Don't think just because I'm a certified parent that no, I am still learning, and I learn a lot from I learn a lot from what I'm learning, and how to raise my children. But there is no such thing as a perfect parent. There is just sometimes parents don't know how to understand their child. They need help or support and knowing how to break through and help their child develop and prosper, right? And that's where I come in. So I sometimes there's a lot of things that come in, right? So family dynamics, lack of understanding, and maybe it's also the way they were brought up, right? So they don't sometimes. I'm going to give you an example. I had a mom that didn't know she was supposed to call her child by his name. She didn't know that she was supposed to play with her child. So when she came to me, the child did not respond to his name. He would not do eye contact or communicate. So I was like, okay, well, what is a daily life, daily routine look like? What do you do every day? I wake up, I wash him, I feed him, and then he just sits. Well, do you talk to him? No. Do you play with him? No. Do you call him? No one told me. I'm like, well, how did you think he was supposed to learn? I don't know. I just thought he just, will learn just the way they learn how to walk. I'm like, well, they don't learn how to walk by themselves. There's also an environment that we have to put together to support them to stand up, take the baby step. And she was like, I didn't know. And she broke down in tears. So her parents don't live with her. They're overseas and she's here by herself with her husband. She has no friends, no family, no nothing. So I was like, okay, well, it's okay. It's not your fault. We'll manage it, right? I don't blame because she didn't know. She didn't know she was supposed to do that. And there's a lot of people like her out there. They don't know they're supposed to have eye contact. They're supposed to have, parent-child interaction on a daily basis. They don't know that they have to, talk to their child and have parallel conversations and, have that contingent communication. They don't know that. They think that my job is just to make sure they're eating healthy, they're clean, they have a roof over their head, and they're fine. That's not what they need.
Wow.
You don't need money. You don't need resources to raise a child. You need love and support to raise a child.
How old was your child?
He was 3 at that time.
3 years old? Never called by his name?
No, she didn't know. I mean, she just thought he would know his name. But how is he supposed to know if you don't teach him his name, right?
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, alhamdulillah, mashallah, he's doing great right now. He's perfectly fine. He's in preschool and he's perfect, mashallah.
So where do you start when someone tells you, because let's just say that's the worst case scenario, where someone for 3 years never called their child by their name, never played with them. I have a 3-year-old niece. I can't imagine never calling. I call her by her name 8 times per minute. Where do you start? And just building, because 3 years old, they're not developed, but the
first 3 years of a child are the most pivotal years. I mean, that's when they're developing. That's when they're absorbing everything. It's now they're building their communication skills.
Exactly.
They're building their social skills. Everything is that's the base of it. That's the foundation. But it's fixable. So I never judge parents. I don't ever say, oh, that's it, we're done. You lost your child. No, we can fix it. It's okay. We'll get there, right? How I start, so I had a mom one time, she called me and she was like, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't respond. I'm like, well, could you right now just, offer her a cup of water or milk? And she was like, okay. So she puts, I was like, how old is she? And she was like, she's 2.5. I'm like, are you giving her a bottle? She's like, yeah. I'm like, why? She's like, because she doesn't know. How did you teach her? No. Oh, okay, let's continue the process. Please give her the bottle of milk. And this is on the phone, right? And she was like, here, take. I'm like, okay, we're going to stop right there. What does here, take mean? First of all, who is here? They call her by her name. Take what? Identify. You have to label things for them. They're not going to label it by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, we can do this every day. So when she wants milk, she's going to point to it. She's going to drag you to the kitchen. You can say, oh, you want milk. You want water. So it's your job, it's our job as parents, as caregivers, to label things, to identify them, name them for them. They're not going to know by themselves, right? So this is our job. We have to teach them this. So.
Do you think that's common between families?
Yes.
Or in families?
Yes.
How common?
Very, very common. Out of all the families I had, maybe 2 or 3 did not do that. It was crazy. And the thing is that, unfortunately, parents think that they can have substitutes, and that substitute is technology. That's not the case. We can't do that with our children. We can't say, oh, I'm tired today. I understand that we each have our story. I understand that we each have our frustrations, our stressors. We need help dealing with them. We need help managing them, but we can't take it out on our children. And I don't blame parents because I know how hard it is. It's a struggle. They need help. They need support. I understand that. But that's where I come in to shed light. I think, okay, we're not supposed to do this. I understand you have like a horrible relationship with your husband. It's tough. I understand that. But we can't just give him the iPad and put him in the corner. We can't do that. You're killing him. You brought him to this world. And technically, he's not yours. He's Allah's, right? And you're not taking care of Allah's gift. So we can't do this. We have to stop here. I know that you need time to go to the bathroom and cry. You can't look at yourself in the mirror. I understand that. But I'm here to help you. Let's put a plan for self-care and let's put a plan for parenting.
Why can't they look at their sons? Why can't they look at themselves
Because
in
they're
the
not
mirror?
happy. And they don't want to see where life has taken them. That's not the plan they wanted when they were like 16 years old. But unfortunately, things happen and this is where they are. They need help. They need someone that comes into their home not to judge them. And that's the first thing I do. And as a follower of Ahlul Bayt, we should not judge people. When I go into their homes, I leave all judgments outside. I'm not there to assume anything. I don't expect anything. I don't judge anyone. I walk in. I'm there to listen to you 100%. And I suspend my filter. So what does that mean? That I don't take what I want to hear from you. I don't perceive it the way I want to. Tell me what you have, and we will work through it, inshallah. It's not impossible. Just as long as you want to fix it, we can fix it.
Do you feel like they're hesitant to tell you these things because they don't want to be judged?
The first visit, yes, because because I am a mandated reporter at the end of the day, right? So yes, they are afraid sometimes. Like, what are you coming to investigate? Are you going to report me? Are you going to take my children away? No, I'm not going to do that. It's not from the first visit. That's not how it works. And first of all, as a mandated reporter, there are some things you have to understand. Like there's family dynamics. There's culture, there's religion. There's a lot of things that come in place here. When I want to say, oh, okay, well, this family, I need to report it. No, it doesn't work like that. And there's some parents think listen, I want to tell you something. By accident yesterday, I slapped him, but he's okay. I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. Do you do it every day? Every time he says, Mama, you slap him? No. And it happens, but you have to stop it. Control yourself. It's okay. Stuff happen. It's good that you realize that it's wrong. So now you can control it. Yeah. Right? So please don't tell anyone. Don't report me. It doesn't work like that. It's fine. Calm down. So once they see that they can trust me and I'm not going to wait for them oh, your son sneezed and you didn't give a napkin. You're neglecting your child. It doesn't work like that. So there's a level to neglect. Yeah. Obviously, if I walk into a home and I see a kid bruised and he's in the corner and he's starving, yes, I will report that. But not if a child, he's so hyper and the mom can't control him. I'm going to report you because you can't control your child. It doesn't work like that.
Have you ever reported someone?
No.
Okay.
But I had another department come to me and say, if you don't do something, you have to take this family or I'm going to report them. And I was like, okay. So I intervened. I asked my supervisor at that time to come with me to see what's going on.
What was going on?
The kid was completely fine, but the father was not complying. They needed him to do 1, 2, 3, and he wasn't doing it. So they're like, you gotta follow up on the child's health. And so we talked to him. He's from a different culture. He's new to the country. So back at home, where he's from, this is completely normal. And to them, they think, Allah bidabbar al-walad bi'aish. It doesn't work like that over here. Allah bidabbar al-walad bi'aish. No, it's our job. Allah gave us this kid. No, we have to provide for the child 1, 2, 3. I'm not saying provide, a luxurious lifestyle. No, the necessities. So.
Assuming that there are situations where you walk into the house, let's say the mom reached out to you and hey, we need help. Is that how it goes? One person would reach out to you?
Yes, or they're referred to us from other programs.
Okay, and then you walk into this house and the mother really wants to help and the father doesn't want you in the house and is like, why is this stranger going to tell me how to raise my kid?
So yeah, I usually talk, or if I, when I was in my old job, I would ask my supervisor to do that for me. Could you please talk to the father? He's not responding. He doesn't want to follow up with the plan that we're putting for the family. But then sometimes I talk to the father and I explain to him why we're doing this, right? It's not that you're a bad parent, but we're just supporting you to make your child, healthier. And when I say healthier, I don't mean healthy he's not, winter passed, he didn't have a flu, his teeth are fine. No, I thought developmentally, emotionally, cognitively, he's developing, where he's at, he's the place he's supposed to be at this age. So, and there's a lot of things that come in place here, so. And I always focus, unfortunately, the pandemic children are obsessed with screen. There's unlimited screen time for them. And people think, like, one time my mom came to me and she's like, no, he knows the ABC song. He can talk. I'm like, well, okay, well, that's great. Perfect. Da habibi, so I put the ABCs. Where's A? He had no idea what I was talking about. Where's C? He had no idea what C was. I'm like, so your son memorized the tone, but he has no idea what the alphabets are. So don't think if you put your child in front of the screen, A, B, C, alif, beta, that's not doing anything. That's colors, characters jumping and music. But it's really nothing. It's like it's not going in. There's a block. So don't replace your voice with the voice of the TV. Don't replace your face with the screen. Don't substitute who you are with technology. Technology should not have a place in your child's life.
And I'm assuming there's a very big chunk of parents that's all they do.
Yes. But believe it or not, once I give them that information, they stop it. They limit screen time.
So do you think people don't know that screen time, like that much screen time is bad?
They don't. So you have to understand that, Kamena, some families that I visit, the mom is not educated. The maximum she's been to is 5th grade elementary. So they don't know, right? And back in her days, there was no technology, especially if she's new to this country. So she didn't have an iPad or iPhone or whatever, accessible to her. So this is something, wow, they're teaching him letters and numbers. She thinks she's benefiting her child.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know any better. It's not that she's a bad parent, but she doesn't know any better. Right. So I come in like, well, research says actually that 1, 2, 3 happens, and this is not healthy for your child. We shouldn't be doing this on a daily basis. Yes, they can have screening time, but not more than 40 minutes, I would say, per day. And you have to watch you have to monitor what your child is watching. I remember one time my son, before I banned Disney Channel from his life, he was watching, but alhamdulillah, he wasn't focusing because he was playing cars, and the TV was on because he wanted to watch something, and I put it for him. I'm doing the laundry in the back, and the character said something extremely inappropriate for a child to hear or even know about. And I was like, oh, okay, Ali, well, I don't think this cartoon is for your age. She was like, why? What did they say? And I'm like, alhamdulillah, you didn't hear it, but we can't watch this cartoon anymore. And then I just deleted Disney from their life completely. And they know, like, they cannot watch Disney whatsoever. So, yeah.
Does that make him want to explore more, or does it kind of...
No, I told him, Mama, he said something that doesn't align with our beliefs. It makes Allah very upset. We don't want to upset Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're not going to watch it. And that's it. It's done. Okay. So because I put in their mind, like, I make them understand that because Allah said so. There's no question. Mama, just do what Allah wants because that's better for you. It's not for him. It's for you. So, Mama, they're saying something that's very inappropriate. It's not for kids. When you're older, inshallah, you'll be exposed to it, and we'll talk about it, but right now you need to know it.
I think that part of life has really been missing, like the God said so this is the way things have to go. It's like you feel like kids are given options nowadays, like you can do this, you can do that, and it's part of being more open with the kid, but then there has to be these red lines where these cannot be crossed.
There has to be discipline.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, this generation, they're congested with so many ideas. There's so many things they're absorbing, right? They're taking in so many ideas, so many different lifestyles that they're being exposed to, right? But it comes, honey, this is our role as parents. Yes, we give them the freedom to be exposed. We give them the freedom to see what's out there, but there's discipline, right? So this is how much you should know at this age, right? There's, for each age, for each phase in your life, there's a certain amount of information you should be exposed to. I can't expose a 5-year-old to what I expose an 18-year-old to. That's just, destructive. I can't do that. That's wrong on so many levels, right? Yeah. So there's limits for everything. And it's our job as parents to put that discipline. Mama, you should know 1, 2, 3 right now, right? Sometimes my daughter will shoot questions at me I'm not ready for. And she'll be like, Mama, my friend said 1, 2, 3. I would answer it in a very diplomatic way, I would say. And then I would tell her, Mama, please, do not Google it behind my back. When you are at the age appropriate to know, I will answer it 100%, everything you need to know. But I am your Google research. If you need anything, come to me. I will tell you the answer as much as you are allowed to know at this age. It's that simple. They have to know that we are the leaders in their lives, right? Yeah. Now, we're not dictators. But we are people that try to communicate, set limits, and communicate with them. So we as parents, we have to understand that, and we have to make sure they understand that. Communication is allowed, connection is allowed, but there are also limits. And there are consequences if you break the limits. And this is where it's so important that we have consistency. So when I tell my child this is not allowed, I'm consistent. Not one time it's allowed and I'll punish the next time. Because then he becomes confused and it's easier for him to break the rules because as a yom, she's in a good mood, she'll let it go. It shouldn't be that way. When I say this is not allowed, it is not allowed. And if you do it, you're going to go to your room for like 2-3 hours, how long, you put the time. But there are consequences to that.
But I think that would just make me personally more curious if my parent tells me, do not Google this behind my back.
No, I told you, I answer her. I answer her as much as she is allowed to know at this age.
Okay.
Right?
Aren't you scared that her friend opened this up one time, that's going to happen multiple times now?
Yeah. 100%. And that's why I build a friend relationship with my daughter at this age. She's a preteen. I can't mom her all the time. I need her to come to me with her thoughts, with her feelings, with her ideas. Tell me, Mama, it's okay. It's fine. And Allah wants you to be curious. And Allah kamana, He wants us to question.
It's our nature.
Yeah, it's our instinct. He wants us to be curious and to question and to discover. It's fine, Mama. Is Allah accepts it? I'm not going to accept it? No.
Yeah.
Come to me. It's fine. Whatever you're feeling, whatever thoughts you have, it's okay. But don't take don't take outside ideologies or lifestyles and try to implement it on yourself. Because I always remind my children, you are a Muslim child. You are a follower of Ahlul Bayt. Okay, and there is responsibilities with that. So yes, we can be exposed to all these ideas. We know what's out there. We know what they're doing. It's fine. To each their own. They're not Muslims. We're not preaching, well, you're going to go to hell. It's none of our business.
Yeah.
And I teach my children, Mama, their religion allows 1, 2, 3. Your religion does not allow 1, 2, 3. Respect them, but respect your religion, kamana. We're not there to preach them. I'm not here to convert the world to Muslims, but I'm here to protect kamana.
Your circle.
Yeah, my community, my faith, my children. And that's why, Anna, when I work in the workshops, I consider every single child in the workshop my child.
Yeah.
Whatever I teach my child, I teach that child. And I always ask for parents to be present. That's why it's always a family-oriented workshop, because I'm with them for just an hour 45 minutes. You're with them forever. So he's going to come home and say, Sister Fatima said 1, 2, 3. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So when you're there, and you continue it at home. You build on that conversation with your child.
I just I don't want to forget this question about screen time. What's recommended and how do you kind of increase it as they get older?
So recommend like scientifically, it's like 40 minutes maximum per day.
What do you recommend?
I say 40 minutes, but for my children, I just give them they get Friday evening when we're at my parents' house. They get 40 minutes at for the Sahara. We have a family Sahara, and then Saturday they get it for an hour. But I always if they're watching something that's more than an hour, I call for breaks.
Okay.
I call for breaks. And one time, this was last week, they had their 1 hour. They were during their 1 hour screen time because they're older, so the movies they watch are longer.
Yeah, of course.
So they're both sitting, and I didn't like it because I'm very adamant when it comes to technology. My husband is Shreya linear, so that's why we have that 1 hour space for them. I don't like it, but he's like, come on, we gotta give and take with them. I'm like, okay, fine, If it was for me, there was no TV in my home, but it is what it is. So I was like, okay, I'm in the kitchen working, and they're in the living room, so they're sitting on their iPads, and I'm cooking. So I put a khutbah, because that's what when I'm cook, I have to listen to something all the time. So I put a khutbah, and the Sayyid, he's like, salawat. So I was like, oh, he said salawat, you guys. And they're like, okay, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And then he did it. I was like, salawat, you guys. And Ali was like, Mama, we heard him. I'm like, oh, you guys say salawat. So I wanted to distract them, to keep them, with me. So I didn't want to have them mentally distracted, So I wanted to keep them with me. So that's what I do, just to make sure that they're not 100% detached from this world.
Absolutely.
Because that's what iPads do to children. They make them detached.
You just want to shake them a little bit.
Yeah, I want to unplug them away from that world.
Yeah.
So.
When you work, we talked about how important it is for the dad to be involved, the mom to be involved, but divorce rates are 50%. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you deal with a lot of single mothers.
Yeah.
How does it differ walking into a house of a single mother, telling her about how to deal with her child if she has no support?
Well, so that's the thing. I have to work with what is at hand. I can't make up stuff for her. I can't give her a life that's not there. You have to be very realistic when you work with the family. I'll give you an example. One time I was working with a single father who completely opposite lifestyle than his wife. And there was no communication between them. He was very, very involved in his children's lives. He was very on top of everything. He didn't give them the iPad as much. He was doing everything, you name it, he was doing it. The mom wasn't. So he was like, they go to her, they come back, they're completely different. They're angry, they're frustrated. Why? Because, they have the iPad all the time over there. So you take it away, child becomes very frustrated. He's like, what should I do? I was like, well, you have to communicate. I was like, I can do that on your behalf. I can talk to her. He's like, no, she won't accept it. And there was like legal regulations as well. So he was like, don't get involved. I don't want you talking to her. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Well, then we're just going to have to work with what we have. What we have is that they're with you 3-4 days a week. We manage them 3-4 days a week. I can't control what's outside of your home. I can't control what's not accessible to you. Right. And I can't give families imaginary life. Like we're not in a fairy tale. Like I'm not like drawing what so what do we have on the table? We will work with it. Okay. And what you can afford, we will do. So I'm not going to tell you go buy these expensive educational toys for your child. No, we don't need that. You can use, macaroni, pasta, count pasta. Let's make a necklace from pasta and motor skills. Let's do something, so you don't need money to make your child happy. And I work with what they have.
And is it difficult for them?
No, because I try to make it very easy and simple.
Okay.
And even if I'm dealing with a family that is, they can afford it, it's not about money. It's never about money when we're dealing with children. It's never about resources. It's just about care and love. That's all they need.
So if someone says, I don't want to get a kid because it's too expensive,
I tell them what I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
So there's, I remember I was telling this mom one time, she was pregnant. She's fabulous bedroom. She's decorating everything for her son. I'm like, listen, the only thing he knows right now in the whole wide world is your stomach. He's been in there for 9 months. So when he comes out, he expects to be held by you because he wants your heartbeat. He wants to hear your voice. He could care less of what you're doing right now. All he needs to make sure is that your warmth is going to be the same when he's out. He could care less of, how many blankets or how many teddy bears, what do you have on the wall. Don't focus on this right now. He just wants to make sure that you're going to be there when he cries. You are going to be there when he cries. You're going to be there when he needs a cuddle, when he needs to hear your voice, when he needs to have his head on your chest and hear your heartbeat. That's all he needs. So just give him that. But then I'll save that money when he needs to go to college, when he needs to buy a car, when he needs to go get married. Save those money for later. Yeah. So,
you talked about parents thinking feeling judged. I read yesterday that 52% of parents actually feel judged by their close friends and their family, in the way how they parent.
Yeah, I get that a lot. First of all, I always, I say this all the time. There is no such thing as a perfect child. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. You parent your child according to your child's caliber. Okay, you help your child according to your child's capabilities. Yes, we push our children to be better. We motivate them to be better. Yes, but we don't put expectations for our child. How much is my child able to absorb? How much is he able to be receptive? Can he respond to what I'm giving him or not? Is he ready for this or not? Okay. Sometimes I see moms, haram, they leave the workshop he's not my son is one of them. My son, one time I had to step away from the stage. I had to go take a corner. My sister and the team had to take care of it because he needed me. He had a moment and he didn't want anyone else but me. So I had to sit there and I was staring at him. Let it out. It's okay. Obviously, at the end, I called my husband to come take him. But he needed his mom. He needed a moment. Am I a horrible parent? No. Is he a horrible child? No. He's just a child that had a moment, right? Sometimes children, they have a moment. And sometimes this frustration is a form of communication. And this is what some adults do not understand, that when your child acts out, when they have tantrums, when they scream nonstop, when they cry for no reason, this is a form of communication. They are trying to communicate something with us. Okay, so let's evaluate what happened. What's going on? What happened last week? It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. What happened last week? And something happens that triggers that. It reminds that child what happened and they just act out. So even us adults, sometimes we're in a situation, a smell, some hand movement reminds me of something. It triggers something that happened in the past. I feel a flame inside me. I get frustrated. I feel angry or anxious, right? Children, the same thing. They're humans just like us. So don't judge. Stop judging. Stop pointing fingers, because it's a process. And let that process take its flow. Just give people space, give them time. And children are growing. They'll grow out of it, step by step. Just stop judging. It's that simple. Stop judging. We're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect.
Do you think a lot of it stems from insecurities as well, on the parents' end? Maybe that you're not doing enough. You go outside, you're your child acts up in front of people and then you're like, oh my God, they're looking at me and they're going to say I'm a terrible mom. Maybe they didn't do that. Maybe they're not looking at you. You just feel judged.
We think that all the time. Yeah, I know. Like I think that all the time. Like, oh my God, like they're probably gonna think like, oh, you know, I didn't teach my son how to control his reactions. Yes, I did, but this is how much he's able to absorb, right? And this is where it becomes like the ayab. You know, this is the ayab,
Yeah.
and this is in هلا it shows. It shows with our children. Like, oh, ayab, وشو جرستونا. No, ما حدا جرسك. They're kids. I get that all the time. Like moms, like I go into their homes, they start apologizing. What are you apologizing for? He's a kid. I expect him. I always tell parents, if your son does not mess up the table right now when we're sitting, there's something wrong with him. I expect him to mess up the table.
Yeah.
I expect him not to respond from the first time. I expect him to do 1, 2, 3. It's okay if he does stuff like this. It's fine. He's a kid and you're doing your job. I know you're doing your job. It's not your fault if it doesn't respond. It's okay. And if I'm upset at you and I do something, is it my parents' fault? Like, no, I'm a human. I built my character. I'm not in the mood right now. It's okay. You know, things happen. We have to let go of these, you know, these stereotypes or these, you know, like, oh, into you're a horrible parent, or into you're not doing your job, you didn't sit with him enough, you're feeding him too much candy. Well, just leave them alone.
Yeah.
They're trying their best. Maybe, you know, and I always tell them, you're great parents because you're trying your best. Maybe your best is not enough, but you are trying your best, so you're perfect. You're perfect at what you're doing. It's okay. It's fine. Things will get better. Shway shway. You know, so.
I mean, life nowadays, we compare ourselves without thinking to people online or other parents, and you think that competitiveness and like, oh, my child did this, might put down another parent.
Yeah,
like
100%.
like
Always.
let's say my niece walked at 1 year old and then your son walked at 2 years old, for example, and I come here just showing off, oh my God, she's so smart, she learned this and that, and then you're gonna feel like, oh, what, is something wrong with my kid? Although maybe it's very normal.
It happens all the time, but kamana, sometimes when you do that in front of parents, the reaction sometimes must be really, really aggressive. So sometimes when I come to you and say like, my daughter, she's an A+ student, she's doing great, I just do one exercise for her in math, one practice, and she's, mashallah, she's on top of it. I go home, I yell at my child, I punish my child, sometimes I might hit my child, I get verbally abusive with my child, emotionally abusive with my child. Why? Because you came and you dumped all this negative energy on me. You think you're saying something, wow, but it's none of my business what your child does. Allah يهنيكي فيه, Allah يوفقه. Why do you have to why do you have to showcase that? Sometimes parents don't understand that even if you are successful academically, it does not mean you are successful in life. So you don't show that off. They're only 5th graders, so
It's not that serious.
Yeah, so like, you know, take a break, calm down, and stop throwing that on other people's faces, because as I said before, we each have our own story. We each have stuff going on behind closed doors. We don't tell the world, so you don't have to shove stuff like this in people's faces. You don't. And I have moms that come to me saying, oh my God, she's 18 months old, like she didn't stand up, she's still not standing up, she doesn't say mama. Yeah, it's fine, it's okay. Don't look at what other people do. You know, I fell in that gap. When my daughter, when she was young, she developed really fast. Like she was talking and walking and everything. So when my son came, he was a slow, at his own pace, you know, whenever he wanted to. So I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with him. There's something. I watched the doctor. He got sick and tired of me. One time I was like, leave. I don't want to hear it. Just walk out. Okay. He was like, stop comparing him to his sister. Each child is their own entity. Stop. And it stuck in my head. He is Ali, she is Tia. Tia is not Ali, Ali is not Tia. And then I learned this as I start, you know, studying parenting and everything. We have to believe, it starts here. We have to believe that your child is unique. Because we all are unique in our own way. No one is the same. We're not going to resemble anyone else. Once I believe that my child is unique, I stop comparing. I stop there. He's unique. This is the way he perceives things. This is the way he understands. This is the way he responds. That's it. Tia does it this way. Ali does it this way. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're done.
It's you made me remember when we were younger and someone would do better at school than we do, and then our parents would be like, why don't you be like this person or like this kid, like ibna la, what's it called, gets all these good grades, he doesn't
you know, you reminded me of a beautiful story.
Tell me.
بمعركة الجمل ابنه الإمام علي عليه السلام محمد بن الحنفية. Okay, he was shivering. Okay, he wasn't as he's courageous, was not as courageous as his brothers Abu Fadl al-Abbas, Imam Hassan wal-Hussein عليهم السلام. So he was shivering. هلا Imam Ali noticed his son is shivering. What do you think he did? Do you think he went and said, Abbas, تعال خيك مجرسني أنا ابن أمير المؤمنين, and he's shivering? He didn't say that. He didn't say روح لعند أمك, روح جي لك شي صحن أنت ما قالك فايدة. He didn't say that. He walked up to his son and he said, تزول الجبال ولا تزول. يعني if the mountains move, you don't move. What did he do? He boosted his confidence. He told him, I believe in you. I know you can do it. It's okay. That's what he did. He didn't tell him جرستنا like my other sons. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
That's what we have to learn from Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that's why I always يعني in the stories I write, I don't just say okay Imam Ali هو أمير المؤمنين, هو أول الإمام, هو, I don't know. What can we learn from Imam Ali?
The values, the principles.
Yes. There's so much يعني
I think the Prophet and his household were the best communicators ever. If
100%.
his message is still here 1,000+ years later, he communicated correctly, or else that message would not be here today.
100%.
And I think we have to learn like how they used to talk to people, how they used to interact with people.
100%. يعني هن أهل البيت يس إنه هن المعصومين, هن بيشفعونا بيوم القيامة إن شاء الله, بس كمان هن lifestyle. يعني take from them to live a happy life, to live the right life, the life that would make you happy here and in the hereafter. يعني it's a path in this world leading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So take it, learn from them. It's not only Ashura we wear black and we cry. It's not only Eid al-Ghadir we become very aggressive in our lectures. Sometimes it's a lifestyle. Take هذا lifestyle, take هذا mindset. You live a happy life that way. In parenting, in marriage, and dealing with your parents at work, everything.
Yeah.
Take from them.
I agree with you. I think in our communities, the focus on the stories that used to happen is, I don't want to say it's starting to get old, but it's like, how can we implement, like if you tell me Imam Ali took out Bab Khaybar with one hand, that is not going to do me any good. It's not going to do my son any good. I'm still fighting with my son. I still don't know how to deal with him.
Exactly.
Tell me how he used to deal with his kids. Teach me those values. Those things I can implement in my life. We can use them. You know, if you keep telling me that they did 1, 2, 3, but you're not showing me how they went about their life, I mean, it gets difficult, and it makes people drift away.
100%.
And they start looking for these values and these experts that talk, and these experts know what they're talking about. But we have this.
We have it, but the thing is that we put so much attention on things that do not value our day-to-day activities.
Exactly.
Our day-to-day lifestyle, and this is what we need to focus on more. I'll give you a beautiful example of Sayyidah Zahra and Sayyidah Zainab's relationship. So when Sayyidah Zahra was martyred, Sayyidah Zainab was 5 years old. So Imam Ali alayhi salam approaches Sayyidah Zainab to start teaching her, Islamic values and principles and stuff like that. So she tells him, there's no need to teach me because my mom already taught me. What is Sayyidah Zahra trying to do? What's the message she's sending us? That your child is never too young to conversate with them. They're never too young to have a parallel conversation. Communicate with your child. That's what she's teaching us. She's teaching us that at age 0, start talking to your child. I had a mom that came to me one time and she was like, my daughter, she's 13, and how do I teach her about the hijab? I'm like, well, you can't start. It doesn't start when they're 13. And I'm going to tell you my story with my daughter, but I'm not a perfect mom. I'm not. Well, I try my best, and I'm still trying, and I still have a lot of faults, and we're getting there. Shway, my daughter, when she started talking, and that was a little before 2, every single day we want to go out, I'll put her in front of me on the dresser, put the hijab. I'm like, Tia, we have to go outside, so I have to put the hijab on because I'm a Muslim. I have to put the hijab on every single day. I would repeat the same thing over and over. When you turn 9, mama, you're going to wear like me because you're a Muslim. We have to put the hijab on. Oh, Tia, close the curtain. I don't have my hijab on. I would say it every single day. She's 8 and a half. Like, Tia, we're getting ready. Okay, we're going to have the hijab taklif party because it's in her head. Yeah. She would remind me, Mama, I'm turning 9. Mama, I'm going to turn 9. So she knows. I know every day my daughter, she's wearing whatever she wants. She does not know why I wear the hijab. She does not even realize I didn't bring it to her attention, because sometimes things that you see every day, you become blind to, right? So I would bring it to her attention. I'm putting the hijab on. I'm putting the hijab on. So خلاص وصلت هي Mama, I'm 9 and I'm going to be 9 in a few months. So, yes. I'm preparing. I already ordered your dress. I have everything set for you. Don't worry, Mama. We're gonna. So she's ready for it. She's mentally prepared.
How was her attitude leading up?
Because it depends on how you. It all depends on how you approach the child. It never bring fear. When you're talking about Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and religion, there's no room for fear.
Right.
Zero room for fear. Especially a child. When you're talking with an adult, it's different. And don't do ma'asi, that's different, right? But when you're talking with a child, Allah Ghafurur Rahim, Allah is beautiful, Allah Noor, Allah wants your life to be beautiful, simple, organized. He wants to be structured, know where you're going, where you're at, and all that stuff, right? So how you approach the child, you put flowers all over heaven, you put, everything is beautiful, Allah Noor. So he wants Allah, he wants to be with Allah, right? He wants Allah to be happy, he wants Allah to be his best friend.
What are some red flags that we're doing in parenting?
Judging. We're putting so much expectations. We're putting so much pressure on our children when we put expectations. I always tell parents, stop putting expectations. Just stop. Give them what they need. Give them that support. Provide the right environment. But let them grow at their own pace. Stop putting expectations. Stop putting that pressure. Had expectations beyond anxiety.
What does it do to kids?
Causes anxiety, frustration. And I want you to get an A+. She's not able to, but she's able to get a B+. Bravo, Mama. Let's see where the barrier is. Let's work on the barrier together. But GBA+. Stop expecting her. She can't. Memorize the Quran. He can't memorize the Quran. But he can memorize a few verses. He can start with a short surah. So stop putting those high expectations that are not realistic. And stop judging your child. Because it's our job as parents, as caregivers. We are caregivers. We have to give that care, that right environment that supports them to grow. Not to judge them, not to put expectations. We have to create the right environment that supports them to grow, to move forward, to develop. Not to judge and put expectations. No.
Fatimah, I feel like it's difficult for people to switch off the button between you dealing with people outside of your children and then turning it back on and dealing with your child as a child.
So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he says, when you are a parent and you're dealing with your child, you have to you have to be a child with your child.
Yeah.
Switch that off.
One sentence that I hate is, my parents did that with us and we were fine.
I hear that all the time from fathers. Well, look at me, I'm fine, I'm a successful man, I'm providing for my family. Yes, but you're very aggressive. Yes, you don't listen to your wife. You don't give and take. Do you ever hug your son? Do you ever read to your son? Do you ever have a discussion with your son? No, because you didn't have that. You don't know it's a need.
How important is the emotional providing from the father's side?
100%. Affirmations are always important in a child's life, especially when it comes to emotional development. Emotional development is linked to their cognitive development. It's linked to their social skills. It's linked for them for their development in general, the whole thing, the whole package. It affects their self-esteem. It affects how they value themselves. And if your father isn't around to give you that support that you need, as in in terms of, the emotional support, I believe you, I trust you, I love you, I'm here for you. I'm your friend, come to me. Whatever it is, it's okay, I got your back. That crushes you. Because you're looking for someone else to do that. And you can't guarantee who that someone else is, right?
Yeah.
But your father is here for you, your mom is here for you. And I always tell moms, please be your daughter's best friend. My mom was my best friend. My mom and my sister, literally, they knew all my ups and downs, all my secrets, everything. Nothing is hidden from them. You know why I would go to my mom? Because she would never yell at me and never judge me. She would listen. She would listen to me, and then she would take it in, and then she would explain to me how could this better be approached, right? How could I fix this problem? She never yelled at me. She never said جرستيني. She never said حتفوتيني على جهنم. She never said that to me. Okay, she listened. That's all she did, was listen to me.
Do you think that's part of why you went into parent educating? Because you were like, my parents did this and it was kind of seamless, so maybe I can help people.
I value family so much. I love working with families. I love that family dynamic and building it and supporting it. And I remember when my kids were young, I never let them down. Always hugging. My friend would be like, "Khalas, let's put them down." I'm like, they'll eventually grow and start running. I'll be running after them. Please give me a hug. Let me give them that. Let me give them all the hugs they need. I'm very patient with the children, and that I love family. I love family.
You're very passionate.
Yes, I love family so much. And I understand it's important. It's very valuable. Yani, it's valuable in everything we do in life. And community, building our community, you need family. If you want to, whatever, politics, family, you need family. You need family there. But Islam is family. So it's...
and society is trying to take that down right
100%. 100%. And that's why on all my works, recently I start always adding a letter to the parents in the beginning of my books. Points to highlight on, this is, you should focus on 1, 2, 3. Because I understand the battle on the family structure. I see it. I feel it. There's a humongous war on the family. It's trying to just disconnect everything. They're trying to take that family and make each individual in it their own entity. Like you're separate, to each their own. It's not like that. We're united by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Right.
Allah unites us, right? So we can't have man disconnecting us. No, we have to stay united. And that's why I support so much with workshops. Any activity that has family, I'm there. I want to support it because we have to keep our family strong.
Someone might listen to you, although you repeated this multiple times, that I'm not a perfect parent. But you as Fatimah, when you make mistakes while parenting, do you ever feel like a bigger pressure, like, oh my God, I'm like telling these parents how to deal with their kids, but I'm not doing what I preach?
No, I don't, because I never judge parents when they do that. I understand what they're going through. And I'm fast to apologize. When I do yell at my children, because we all do, when sometimes I get frustrated, if like you ask for something 10 times and no one's listening, yes, my voice does become high, it does get higher. I apologize, yes. I apologize and I give them a kiss and I tell them, I'm sorry I did that, but you did not respond to me, you did not listen. Could you please go do what I'm asking right now, because like I really need it done. So I make mistakes. It's okay. I don't feel guilty because I don't judge people when they do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand the frustration people go through. I understand our stressors because I'm human. I have a family. I know what it's like.
You have your own problems too.
I know what it's like when you're a working mom and you come home and you have to prepare a dinner and you have to give your son a bath and you have to do this and make sure your daughter prayed. I know. And then you see the room messed up. You start yelling. Yeah, it's fine. But we control ourselves. We reflect on what we did. I'm like, okay, next time let me manage this differently. Because I don't want to cause stress. If I am stressed out, I don't have to spread the stress.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, I apologize. I reflect on what I did, and I try to do it better next time. And that's okay.
Would you think about writing a book for parents? All the books you published were kids' books.
Yes.
Beautiful books too. I ordered Mila Wears the Hijab to gift it to my niece. But a lot of what you're saying now isn't for the kids, it's for the parents. And if the kids are messed up, it's most of the time it's
100%.
because the parents did something wrong, and I think that I always say this, our parents did very difficult things. They moved from one part of the world to the other to make sure that we're good. They made sure we survived. Now we gain all this information. Now we're very educated, and we cannot do the same mistakes that our parents did.
100%.
Do you think of writing a book for the older generation?
Inshallah, but right now my focus is more on this generation, like the younger generation, like the preteens and the kids, because I'm a mom of a preteen and I have a son, like a kid. So I have like a kid and a preteen. So like, I know how difficult. I know the challenges they're facing, and it's a struggle. And that's why in my books, there's always a parent, there's always an adult in the story that's saying something. And as I said, I always include a letter to the parents, a letter from the author to the caregiver, whoever the caregiver might be, because I focus on this interactive relationship, because it's not one side, it's two sides, right? I'll give you an example. One time I was visiting a school. It was like an after-school program, and there was a kid really working up, and they're like, he's not disciplined, he doesn't listen. I'm like, well, talk to the mom. Like, I know, I'm gonna call her, and she's like yelling on the phone. I'm like, why are you? There's no need to yell at the mom. But you have to understand what's going on at home. Understand the mom's situation. How happy is she? And that's why when I work with parents, I put a self-care plan for the mom.
Always.
Let's care about ourselves. 5 minutes. I know 10 minutes for me is it's like a miracle. 10 minutes, but I give them 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Do a massage for your face.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's sad, but
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. I'm gonna take a cup of tea, sit on the balcony, take a deep breath, smell the flower, blow the flower. It's okay. It's hard. And I always try, one time my mom said, like, I never have time to, like, fix my hair. I'm like, okay, but what do we have at home? You can't go to the hair salon. There's no one to take care of her kids. What do we have at home? Do we have a blow dryer? Do we have a hair straightener? 5 minutes. Let's just take, let's do one side at a time. 5 minutes this time, afternoon the other side. At the end of the day, your hair is perfect. We'll make it work. But I always focus on a self-care plan for parents, because if they don't love themselves, if they're not taking care of themselves, they can't give 100% to the child. They can't. And they're mentally occupied. Some moms are emotionally broken. Imagine how hard it is to see a person that's broken in front of you, and you're telling them, give them love, give them care. Let's focus on you right now.
There's no love to give at one point.
There's no love. What do? You leave them or you don't leave them? But we can work with what we have.
But to think that a mom doesn't have 5 minutes to herself.
They don't.
Just for herself.
They don't. There's a lot of moms I've worked with that don't have 1 minute for themselves. 1 minute. It's hard. And that's where I come in and let's do time management. Let's see, what time are they going to bed? What time are they waking up? Do we have a set time for eating? Because if there's no organization at home, that's what's causing this chaos. That's what's causing your frustration. That's what's causing you to be always stressed out, and you feel that you're unpresentable. I'm not judging you. To me, you're completely presentable. But maybe for yourself, you're not standing in front of the mirror because you feel that you're not presentable. So let's organize. Let's try to do some time management here. Let's see what's going on, and then let's fix it.
Especially life leading up to marriage and being a house mom or just being a mother in general. It's like usually the girl always takes care of herself. Right now she gets the best products. They always look great. And then you're a mom.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Do you know why that happens? Because her husband has high expectations for her. She has high expectations for her husband. Imam Jaafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, never do anything with expectations. Don't expect. Just do it. Expect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Expect tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Expect the reward from Allah. But don't expect from your partner or from whatever I'm doing. And when I do a book, I don't expect to be so successful and it's selling. I do it for Ahlul Bayt, I'm done, I walk away. Whatever Allah gives me, He gives me the reward is bil akhirah. Right? As long as I'm helping people. When you go into a marriage and you expect her to always be perfect, to walk into the house is clean, food is ready, she's always there for you, you're crushing her, you're putting so much pressure on her. When you expect your husband to always provide and get you the best of things and take you vacations every summer, you're putting pressure on him, and that tears them apart. They neglect each other, they neglect themselves, and they do it with lack of love. And it becomes
a chore.
A chore. It literally becomes like a habit they're doing every single day. There's no emotions. There's no love. There's no care. Just do it and get it over with. So stop putting expectations. Everything will be perfect.
Wow. Why'd you leave social media for a year?
Because it was getting in the way of my intention.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So everything I do in life revolves around Imam Mahdi.
Okay.
So I'm his servant. I consider myself, inshallah, he accepts me, I consider myself his servant. So when I post something or I do something, I have a purpose and I'm sending a message out there. I reached a point where I start looking at the number of likes, where I start looking like, oh, I shared this for that person, I did, this person is not, why? So I was like, I'm not walking down this path. This is not what I'm here for. This is not who I want to be. My intention is 100% pure for Imam Mahdi. So right now when I do something, I turn off notifications. I don't care about the likes. I don't care who saw it. I don't look at the number of followers. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. I posted what I posted and I'm done with it. I said what I said and I walk away. I'm not there for followers. I'm not there for likes. I'm not there to be famous or important. I'm there to send a message and to help whoever needs that help. Whoever sees my information as important and helpful, they take it and that's it.
Wow. I didn't expect you to say that. How was that year without it? Did you feel like you were missing out, or did you feel like
No.
like other people were on it, they'd say things and be like, oh, if I had it, I would have probably known about this as well?
No, my sister, she's there, and if there's something going on in the community, she'll be like, Fatimah, something's, 1, 2, 3 is happening. Do you want to be part of it? But this 1 year away was very developmental for me, extremely developmental on a spiritual level, on a professional level, on an individual level. I worked so much on myself, and something so beautiful this Ramadan happened to me. It opened my eyes على كتير أشياء. And Laylat al-Qadr, when I was when I was praying, idaying, with the ing,
Yeah.
I was saying to myself, okay, because Laylat al-Qadr extends from this Laylat al-Qadr to the next Laylat al-Qadr, right? So I was like, okay, what am I going to continue? What am I going to take from Shahr Ramadan this year and carry it with me all the way till next year, and then grow from there? And then I start working on myself spiritually. Like, yes, I want to gain knowledge bil Islam. I want to gain knowledge in parenting. I want to gain knowledge bil Quran. I want to gain knowledge from lessons of Ahlul Bayt. So I put that goal for me, and I put a strategy. How am I going to do it? Where am I going to get the lessons from? Who am I going to reach out to? Where am I going to study it? What am I going to do? So yes, it helped me build myself, develop myself كتير. And it helped me كمان focus so much على I do not expect anything from anyone except Allah and Ahlul Bayt. That's all I want. 100%.
That's beautiful.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. What's one thing that we didn't talk about today that you think we should have?
I don't know. I think we talked about it all, I'm guessing. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Fatimah, this was very insightful. I really do feel that the work that you're putting in, it's not just a matter of, maybe I'll reach out to Fatimah if like as a luxury. I think it's a necessity, and I really want with all my heart, because I feel like our kids are going to grow up together, like this coming generation.
Yeah.
And I want all our kids to be like the best of the best people. I want our communities to be the strongest and the most healthy mentally, physically. And I feel like that can't happen unless we do the things that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's all about being involved. It's all about being involved. And one time someone asked me, a professional in academia asked me, and she was like, what would you tell like parents that have children struggling in school or struggling in social skills? Like, be involved. Just be involved. That's all it takes.
It's that extra hug before you go to work.
Ask to listen. Ask your child to listen. Not ask your child, no. Have empathy when you talk to your child. Understand what they're feeling, understand what they're trying to tell you. And 100%, when you're talking to your child, suspend your filter. Don't perceive it from your own lens. No, it's not about, when your child is talking, it's not about you. It's about your child. And they are exposed more than we are, because now we're at home or we're at work, and we know our environment, right? They are exposed to 10,000 thoughts per second.
New stimulants every single day.
100%. They have new ideas, new thoughts, new things, new judgments. They have people judging them all the time at school. Why did you wear this? Why is your shirt too long? Why is your scarf like that? Why do you wear glasses? Why, right? These are kids that are always, they're fueled all the time. You're pumping them with all this, they're aggressive, and there's a frustration and anxiety, and they come home. Listen. Just listen. That's all it takes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.